Uh, welcome in again to another episode of the Crypto Dojo Show, where we discuss everything that you should know about the world of crypto. And for today's episode, I would like to just show three quick videos. I don't want to hold you too long. I know that you have things to do. But I would like to show you three quick videos that are meant to one, establish a ground level understanding of history, things that have occurred previously in time, and then I would like to show a transition where we are now and where we're transitioning to, and then I would like to show why it's important, how it makes sense, tie it all together. So for this first video, like I said, I don't want to hold you too long. Uh, this is going to show world dominant reserve currencies from 1450 up until now. We have to understand world reserve currencies, the role that they have played. This isn't going to tell you everything, but what it's basically going to show is their lifespan and the fact that something came after. It's going to show their lifespan and what came after. And what I am attempting to show in this video is what's going to come after the US dollar. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and start this video. So what we're doing is starting with Portugal, world reserve currency, dominant. We went from Portugal to Spain. And if you notice, Portugal was at 80 years. Spain had 110. Then we went to the Netherlands. The Dutch. Also 80 years. Voulez-vous des voir? 95 years. 1450. Century. Britain. And now the United States. So we got 80, 95, 105, 110, 100 years with the US dollar. We start from 1920. So really, from 1920 to 2020, that was 100 years. So from 1920 to 2020, that was 100 years. It's 2024. So we looking at 104. We almost right here with Britain. So now what I'm saying is this. Based off of this video, what we know is there are world reserve currencies. There are dominant world reserve currencies. Now, these dominant world reserve currencies only last a certain amount of time. And they typically last about, we'll just say roughly 105 years. It's really lower than that. But we'll just say 105 years. The longest was Spain with 110. We're at 104. Britain was 105. 80, 80, and 95, I believe, is what France was. So basically the US dollar is on its last leg. What Yo Gotti say? I'm on my last run. I'm on my last run. The US dollar is on its last run. It's it. You're done, buddy. You know, time is running out. So I'm saying that to say all of these world reserve currencies are physical fiat currencies. And when we transition into this next phase, world reserve currencies, it's not going to be like it has been in previous years. And that is what the next video is going to show. So let me go ahead and get that rolling. I just want there to be understanding. We just need understanding. We need understanding. We live in an age where information is accessible. It's accessible. The information is accessible. You know? It's just about what are you paying attention to? What is you paying attention to? You see? So, boom. Here we go. Let me show you this one.
Well, it may be a bit late for that. I remember talking to an Australian diplomat at one point about this break between the US and China and said, you know, both sides are going to say, whose team are you on? And he said, our job is to make sure the question never arises. But the question has arisen. And so I think we have to go deeper. And it's not about the US versus China. It's about what underpins a world order is always the financial system. I was very privileged. My father was an advisor to Nixon when they came off the gold standard in '71, and so I was brought up with a kind of inside view of how very important the financial structure is to absolutely everything else. And what we're seeing in the world today, I think, is we are on the brink of a dramatic change where we are about to, and I'll say this boldly, we're about to abandon the traditional system of money and accounting and introduce a new one.
I gotta pause it right there. We're about to abandon the traditional system of money and accounting and introduce a new one. We're about to abandon the traditional system of money and accounting and introduce a new one. So the reason and the importance of the first video that I played is to show that no world reserve currency lasts forever. And to tie this into that, we are transitioning now. We're transitioning. This is what Dr. Pippa is saying at the World Government Summit in 2022.
And the new one, the new accounting, is what we call blockchain. It means digital. It means having a almost perfect record of every single transaction that happens in the economy, which will give us far greater clarity over what's going on. It also raises huge dangers in terms of the balance of power between states and citizens. In my opinion, we're going to need a digital constitution of human rights if we're going to have digital money. But also, this new money will be sovereign in nature. Most people think that digital money is crypto and private, but what I see are superpowers introducing digital currency. The Chinese were the first. The US is on the brink, I think, of moving in the same direction. The Europeans have committed to that as well. And the question is, will that new system of digital money and digital accounting accommodate the competing needs of the citizens of all these locations so that every human being has a chance to have a better life? Because that's the only measure of whether a world order really serves.
So what we saw in that video is that as we transition from the dollar being the world reserve, and I'm just putting all of this together. I'm just trying to piece it together. That's it. As we transition from the dollar being the world reserve currency, we are transitioning to blockchain and digital assets. That's what we're transitioning to. Now this last video that I'm going to show, this last clip, is going to explain what a stable coin is. It is the digital money. So we've gone from the fiat, we've gone from the traditional world reserve currencies as they transition to the point where the next transition is going to be blockchain. It's going to be digital. And this last video is going to explain what that digital money looks like.
But the Sherrod Browns and the Elizabeth Warrens of the world, part of the reason why they have been so vocal and part of the things they're basing their complaints on are some of the runs we've seen on certain types of cryptocurrencies in recent months. We saw what happened with Terra, stable coins they're saying that are unstable. So first thing, can you guys, since we're gonna all learn here, what is a stable coin and why has that particular form of cryptocurrency generated so much controversy? Either one.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll start about stablecoins. So stablecoins are a generic term that is used for way too many different things. And so I'm going to tell you what a stablecoin really is, and then I'll tell you how Terra and other stablecoins have blown up because of what people mistakenly think they are. Okay? Here's what a stablecoin really is. A stablecoin is simply today's internet version of things you're already familiar with. If you're old enough like me, you remember what traveler's checks are, right? Traveler's checks weren't money. Let me be super clear about that. They were not money. You didn't have to buy them from the bank where you held your deposit account. Traveler's checks were just a super convenient way to fly from Washington to Paris and be able to write checks and buy things. And what a traveler's check was an instruction to a bank to send money to whoever the holder of the check was. That's all it was. A generation later, everybody's old enough to know what prepaid cards are. Right? You've been to the grocery store checkout stand. You've seen the Bed Bath & Beyond prepaid card. You give the grocery store $25 and they hand you a Bed Bath & Beyond card. The card is not money. The card is just a set of instructions that when you swipe the mag stripe, it instructs a bank to send money somewhere. Okay. What a stablecoin is it's the internet version of that. It allows me to email you money. Now you might think, Brian, we already have that. We have Venmo and Zelle, right? So who needs stablecoins? Most people who don't work in the field don't actually know that Venmo and Zelle don't send money to anybody. Venmo and Zelle, super complicated technologies that actually just send an instruction to your bank to tell your bank to send money to some other bank, which then instructs the recipient to acknowledge receipt of that money. It's a super complicated set of messages. That's all Venmo is. And what's more, you can only send Venmo to another Venmo customer. So if I'm a Zelle customer, which I am unfortunately, and you're a Venmo person, you can't send me, you can't send me money. But stablecoins are the internet, right? If you have Gmail, you can still send an email to someone who has Hotmail. It's the internet. It's fully interoperable.
If they still have Hotmail.
I'd say, but some people have that. So the point is, stablecoins are a form of electronic money that is like an internet version of a traveler's check. It's something that's very familiar, and it represents dollars that are held in a bank. There are stablecoins like that, where there are dollars in a bank account that are immediately redeemed as soon as you send stablecoin to somebody. And so that's what a real stablecoin is versus what you've heard stablecoins are, right? Like you mentioned Terra, Elon. Terra said it was a stablecoin and it was marketed as a stablecoin, but really what it was it was a crypto token whose value was dependent upon the value of a related token. It was super complicated. You don't need to know what it is. You just need to know what it isn't. It isn't a stablecoin. It was an algorithm that was super complicated. And so the worry that many of us have in crypto, and I'll bet Brooke shares this, is the worry we have is in the same way that in 2000 and 2001, enough internet stocks went to zero that people questioned the premise of the internet itself. Like when Pets.com failed, some people actually wrote headlines that the internet was over. And that seems absurd, right? But if you remember 2001, everybody knew it was BS. The internet was over. I was at a wedding once with the CEO of barbecue.com, and that guy was working at a Starbucks 6 months later. Right? But the internet wasn't over. What emerged out of that was Google and Amazon. Same thing's going to happen here. The stupid projects, the barbecue.coms of crypto are going to go to zero. And it doesn't mean crypto's stupid any more than Amazon was stupid at that time.
But I will say one other defining feature.
So, just to tie it all together, what we're saying is this. What I'm saying is this. There have been world reserve currencies that have lasted roughly 100 years. They last 100 years, and then we transition to another world reserve currency. Now that technology has gotten to where it has gotten, it has allowed us to be able to transition into a different life. It has allowed us to transition into something other than fiat currencies, paper money, like we have done in the past. And as we make that transition from fiat to blockchain, part of that is going to include stable coins, which are digital versions of fiat. So it's important for us to just understand. It's important for us to understand the transition, where we're going, how these new technologies are going to be incorporated in our daily lives, and the fact that we are able to capitalize on this transition. I'm not giving any type of financial advice. What I'm doing is having a conversation about the transition that we're going through, and just providing information that you can use. That's it. It's just information that you can use. And with that being said, I do appreciate you for tuning in to the Crypto Dojo Show, where we discuss everything you should know about the world of crypto.